OC Financial Media presents, in association with CHL Mortgage, as heard on KTLK AM1150, from LA to Orange County.
Your host, Dino Katsiametis.
It's about your real estate. It's about your money. From your estate to real estate, it's Money Matters with Dino.
Welcome back to Money Matters with Dino on K-Talk AM1150. If you have any questions for myself or my guests, or if you need help with your money matters, give us a call at 949-720-1616. That's 949-720-1616, or you can check us out online at moneymatterswithdino.com. This segment is brought to you by The 12, a new sponsor of ours. The 12 is a fitness organization that teaches you not only how to properly work out and do stuff like that, but it teaches you how to eat properly, which is really, I think the statistic is something like 94% of your overall nutritional balance. So my wife and I and everybody here at the office has been doing it. I want to just kind of give a quick little update for everybody. So as I embark on my 12-week fitness challenge, I can give everybody my updates. So I haven't lost a lot of weight, only about 6 or 7 pounds, but I started at 14.5% body fat, and a month later, I'm at 11.8. So doing good, feeling good. Thank you, everybody, to 12-Week Fitness Challenge. You guys can look them up at 12wfc.com, 12wfc.com. All right, so today we have an incredible show, something that I think is going to be a little more fun than usual. We have divorce. No, let's see. It's called From Divorce to Life Ever After. And the reason why I think it's going to be exciting is we got our divorce attorney, who's our specialist, but we also have Craig Donaldson, who is a matchmaker, a professional matchmaker, has been doing it for 20 years, and obviously not a financial related company that we normally talk to, but my gosh, he's going to have some really great stories for us. So, Craig, let's start with you. Tell us about your company. I think it's called Model Quality Introductions, right?
It is.
What do you guys do?
At Model Quality Introductions, we help the A-list of men meet the A-list of women, gentlemen that are half going through divorce, half have been divorced, half have kids, half want to blend families, and the other half want to start from scratch. But we help women that don't need help meeting men find men, and men that don't need help meeting women find women, by eliminating the single scene. No more going to a bar in Newport Beach with your Tommy Bahama t-shirt on and saying, hey, can I buy you a drink? Hi, would you like to dance? Instead, they sit down with us face to face and they give us a blueprint of exactly what they want and the right partner, and we set forth to find it nationwide for them and bring the couples straight together at the dinner table.
So let me ask you this. I would guess that the majority of people, when they're out looking by themselves, right, they're at a bar with their Tommy Bahama t-shirt on, they are approaching members of the opposite sex or heck, same sex, whatever it be, based on pure, physical attraction.
Correct.
So in your professional opinion, I guess I can call you a professional after 20 years of matchmaking, to what level does that kind of seeking be effective? Like what percentage is I guess, positive, and what falls apart?
As chemistry is paramount of importance to couples, especially men seek a woman that has an exterior physical package that's beautiful. If he meets her and she's beautiful on the inside, he starts a new relationship with her. If he meets her and she's beautiful on the outside, but not so pretty on the inside, he usually just stays for the weekend. So men are very particular about looks. Ladies less so. Still important to them, but for a gentleman, it'll be a paramount. It'll be number 1 or number 2 position when walking up to a strange lady to introduce himself. So gentlemen start with the physical looks, and ladies start with more of a personality. As we know, ladies are more like an oven. They warm up slowly, and men are like a blowtorch. They're on or they're off. So if he feels it, he approaches.
Okay.
The hard part about approaching people in public is, for gentlemen, upscale gentlemen, they usually walk up to women that turn their heads. And 99% of those women are already involved in a relationship. Why wouldn't they be? They're beautiful. They get asked out 12 times a day. So it's daunting to have to go out night after night approaching strangers to find out everyone's taken. That's where we try to come in.
Well, I am really excited to hear a little bit more about it. And again, it's Model Quality Introductions.
Yes, sir.
It's for the A-list, as you say.
It is.
What is the A-list?
Gentlemen that typically call on us make between $200,000 and $5 million a year. Gentlemen that would rather pay to outsource their love life instead of doing it the old-fashioned way, night after night, combing the singles locations, looking for their soulmate.
And again, these are guys that don't have a problem finding people. They just maybe don't have the time.
Correct.
Or they're just unsuccessful with that kind of a woman that goes and hangs out.
It's twofold. It's twofold. One is they don't have time. Two, they can't date their own employees, and they're usually all self-employed. And three, they usually don't want to waste time in singles bars and nightclubs where there's a lot of drinking and smoking. It's not their cup of tea.
Got it. Well, thank you for coming on the show. Looking forward to you answering some of our questions.
Pleasure.
And then we also have Liz Camaur from Camaur-Crampton Family Law. Thanks for being on the show, Liz.
Thank you for having me here.
And you're just down the street from my office, so this is great. I can always run to you when one of my clients is calling with issues, and you'll know exactly how to handle it. Tell me a little bit about your background and how you came about into family law.
Okay, well, I've been licensed in California as an attorney since 1993. I'm also licensed in the state of Virginia since 1994. I'm a certified family law specialist by the California State Bar Board of Legal Specialization. And as attorneys, you can't say you're, quote, a specialist unless you are actually certified as a specialist by the State Bar. To do that, you actually have to take more bar exams. You have to be nominated by, and given recommendations by judges, your peers, and you have to have a certain level of experience. I've also sat as Judge Pro Tem in the Superior Court of California Family Law Department, and I handle only family law cases, which is divorce, child custody, child support, restraining orders, all the family pain.
And I'm assuming that is a lot of pain.
It is, but the way I approach it is you're experiencing pain for a reason. You need to take a look at what's going on and turn your problems into an opportunity, which can happen. There are different ways you can also save a marriage, which if there is a chance of reconciliation, getting back together, then you can approach it with doing a post-nuptial agreement, because a lot of times finances are the biggest problem. But most of the time my clients, it's a done deal by the time they see me. And at that point, we need to focus them on how are you going to change your life for the better.
Well, like Elizabeth Gilbert said in her quote, the lady from Eat, Pray, Love, the only thing more unthinkable than leaving my marriage was staying.
Yeah, exactly. In a toxic situation, a lot of times people stay together for the sake of the children. And what they're actually doing is, if it's toxic with a lot of fighting, somebody's coming home drunk, or there's domestic violence, or they're just living very unhappily ever after, you're being a role model for your kids.
Yeah.
And being that role model, you're setting up your kids to follow in your footsteps and to be in that same situation in the future.
They're learning how to be a spouse and a mother or father right from you.
Exactly. And I think one of the biggest problems that I see in our culture today, and probably one of the reasons divorce is on the rise, is that people forget how to be happy. And I think most men will be surprised for me to say this, but I think a lot of women forget how to be happy. Because what do you guys want? You want to make your women happy. You want to see them smile.
Yeah.
You know, and it comes down to it a lot of times, the women, you'll ask them, where can I take you to dinner, honey? I really want to do something special. And the response is, I don't care, wherever you want to go. And then you go through, would you like Mexican? Nah, too spicy. Italian, too heavy. and there's just no way to make the woman happy. And a lot of times it's because, and this happens to men too, they forget how to be happy. They're so
I got to jump in real quick because my wife and I mean, my gosh.
Are you that person?
Well, you nailed it, right? So the thing is now is I never, ever say where I really want to go the first time. I always save it for the second time. Because the first time, after she says wherever you want to go, the very first restaurant I say, she always says no to. So my lesson learned, right, is just never put what you want the first time. Always save it, because then you can usually get it the second or third. So
okay, but are you asking her because you really want to take her where she wants to go, or are you asking her to finally get where you want to go?
No. And I think most men are probably like this, and this is exactly how I put it to her, is I'm just not picky. Like, I can enjoy my dinner pretty much wherever we go, and I'll be fine. It's not going to ruin my life, right? But for some reason, women are always a little more opinionated, and they have a little more of a say as to where they're going to go. And the reason why is because if you don't end up having a good time, it doesn't end after the dinner's over. It keeps on going, and it's your fault forever because you're the one that took them there.
Okay, but if she said to you, I really feel like shrimp tonight, and you took her to the best shrimp place,
yep,
and she said, this is fantastic, I love it, would you be thrilled?
You said it earlier. The only thing men want is to see a smile on their face.
Exactly.
It's fulfillment for us when we get a smile on our wife's face.
And what happens is that when women get married, they're told you'll live happily ever after. But there is no responsibility for that happiness. Mm-hmm. It sounds like almost it's something external that will magically appear. That's not where happiness comes. Happiness comes from your insides, your own desires, your own passions. And then once people get married and they have the expectations of everybody else on them. Men, it's usually you will be the provider, you will be a good dad. Women, a lot of times in today's world, have to put on the super mom cape. They have to work, and they're going through the motions of life trying to make everybody else's expectations come to reality, where they put themselves lowest on the totem pole.
Right.
So they don't care where they eat. And once they don't know what makes them happy anymore, the men can't fulfill that because there's nothing there.
Yeah.
And then you have Prince Charming kind of sitting outside the moat saying, what am I going to do?
All right, so we actually need to get to all these questions because I have a bunch of great questions to ask you guys, and we have gone off in a little bit of a tangent here, and I know everybody that's listening wants you guys to answer these. So we're going to break just real quick, couple quick commercials. We're going to come back, and we're just going to drill through all of these and get you guys to give us some great answers, because I know there's a lot of people out there with a lot of questions, and divorce is one of these things where it's an emotional aspect to life that people don't really realize how to handle, and it ends up affecting their finances, which ultimately this is what our show's about. It's about all financial matters. So you're listening to Money Matters with Dino on K-Talk AM1150. If you have any questions at all about anything you've heard here today, or you want to get in touch with my guest, just give us a call at 949-720-1616. That's 949-720-1616, or check us out online at moneymatterswithdino.com. This segment was brought to you by The 12 at 12wfc.com. It's www.12wfc.com. Place where you can get your mind, body, and spirit all rolled into one and get nice and healthy. We'll be back right after this break.
Finally, a reputable legal firm. CDA Law Center, a nationally recognized nonprofit homeowner advocate, one of the most trusted firms in the country for helping consumers with their loan modification process. CDA's attorneys have decades of combined experience guiding their clients through the very complex and choppy waters of loan modification. Call 877-499-4435, 877-499-4435. Finally, honest and ethical advice to gain real results. Call CDA Law Center at 877-499-4435. That's 877-499-4435, or check them out online at cdalawcenter.com.
Mortgage professionals, are you looking for a company that values you as a loan officer? One that can provide you with the tools you need to grow your business at your pace? Then look no further than CHL Mortgage. CHL Mortgage provides you with a full range of residential loan products and services. You'll be backed by an exceptionally trained team of professionals that can take your clients as seriously as you do. Your clients will be treated with dedicated service, personal integrity, and exceptional professionalism. You'll be able to guide them in the right loan with competitive rates and keep them on the road to achieving life's goals. To get started on advancing your career, call Dino with CHL Mortgage at 949-720-1616. That's CHL Mortgage, 949-720-1616.
Welcome back to Money Matters with Dino. If you have any questions for me or my guest, or you need help with your money matters, give us a call at 949-720-1616. That's 949-720-1616. Or you can check us out online at moneymatterswithdino.com. From your estate to real estate, we're here to help. This next segment is brought to you by CDA Law Center, Expert Loan Modification Company. These are really great guys I've been working with for a long time. And if you're underwater, one of the few people that might be left underwater and need some help, give them a call. CDA Law Center. You can check them out on our website, moneymatterswithdino.com. So this show that we're having is From Divorce to Life Ever After. It's a really great show. And we got two of the most interesting people here asking or answering all these questions that I am very interested in. I know that a lot of you listening right now are either going through a divorce, know somebody that's going through a divorce, or thinking about getting rid of that person that's causing you all these problems. And this is stuff you want to listen to. So we got some questions for you too. Are you guys ready to answer them?
Sure.
We are.
All right. Liz, what's the first piece of advice you give to anyone who's either thinking about going through the divorce or in the middle of it?
Going through a divorce puts you in a state of limbo that can be the most difficult and painful that you can imagine. And the reason is it's not just the financial part of it. It's also you're in a place where you thought you'd never be. Your life is turned upside down. You thought you'd be Mr. or Mrs. somebody forever. Mm-hmm. And now all of a sudden, two households, you're divorced, you may be a single parent, and you're in a situation that you didn't think you would be in. And making it through that limbo where you need to be very fluid as to when you're going to spend time with the kids, who's going to live in the house, the assets, you need to really just try and put that in perspective and understand it's a time of transformation where you need to be fluid. The other thing is fear fuels litigation. One person is very happy in litigation. The family law attorney, right? It's very expensive. I am always happy. You don't want to make your family law attorney happy.
Right.
So what you need to do is to try and work through the divorce in things that won't cause fear. The high income earner is always afraid they're going to pay too much and be taken advantage of. The low-income person, or maybe the stay-at-home person, is afraid that they don't have enough information, that somebody's hiding something, or that they're not going to get enough money to survive. If you do a full exchange of information during the divorce process, a lot of times it will alleviate the fear and make it easier to get through that limbo stage.
You mentioned, not knowing something, that somebody's hiding something. If somebody was caught hiding something, finances, for example, a property or $100,000 over there, or whatever it be, how bad is that? What happens?
It's really bad. In today's world, and I'm speaking specifically for California, there are duties for disclosure. When you get married, you have an automatic fiduciary duty, the duty of the highest trust, like what an accountant has to a client. Mm-hmm. And when you go through a divorce, before you can get a divorce or reach an agreement to divide up property and the final order of spousal support, you have to do full disclosures. Now, I will give you an example of somebody who didn't do that. Her name is Mrs. Rossi. Mrs. Rossi won the lottery. She left her husband the next day. Yeah. A lot of women are fantasizing about this right now. The problem is she never disclosed it. After the divorce, Mr. Rossi found out, brought her back to court. It went up and down the appellate courts. The final result is the court said, Mrs. Rossi, this wasn't an oops, I forgot. This was fraud, intentional misrepresentation. Mr. Rossi, you don't just get half the lottery winnings. You get all the lottery winnings.
Wow.
Yeah, and Mrs. Rossi, here's the attorney's fees bill.
Wow.
So, disclose. Another scary story. If you don't disclose, your entire divorce can be undone. You can set aside the divorce. And that actually has happened before. I've seen cases where husband didn't do the disclosures, got the divorce because he told the court he did it. He filed the declaration regarding service of declaration of disclosure, but never actually did it. Got divorced, got remarried. Ex-wife got a little upset. She went back to court and said, I never got my declarations of disclosure from my husband. The entire divorce was undone. He was an automatic bigamist. And that case was very expensive to clean up. So long and short of it is, do the disclosures.
My goodness. All right. What is the divorce rate in California?
3 out of 4 marriages. If you're on your 4th, you got a good shot. Okay.
Okay. All right. And how about in the United States in general?
Overall, it's probably closer to half.
Okay. And when is enough? Like, when is the writing on the wall enough to say, I'm calling it quits?
That's a very personal decision. I think it's something a lot of people don't want to do it. A lot of people will start filling out the paperwork, rip it up, especially when they get to the part where you fill in your children's names. What I tell a lot of clients if they're on the fence, this is very toxic. If you can resolve it and be in love and be happy and have a relationship again, go for it. You're going to need help. Go to marriage counseling. If you can't get the other side to go to marriage counseling, tell them you need counseling for your problems and ask them to join you to help you. But a lot of times if I say to people, if your child were in your shoes, what would you want them to do? That's the answer.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can't see it yourself. You're willing to self-sacrifice.
Yep. Let's say the husband has a home that he had previous to marriage. It was worth $500,000, and then he got married, got divorced several years later, and it was worth $800,000. He never put her on title though, right? Kept it sole and separate. Is the wife entitled to any portion of the appreciation from that point they got married until the divorce?
Here's the attorney answer. It depends.
Okay.
On a few things. If there was a mortgage and he paid down the principal during marriage, then there could be what's known as a more Marsden. If there were improvements to the home, things like paint and carpet don't count as an improvement, but an addition, a swimming pool, things like that, there could be a reimbursement issue. Was there a prenuptial agreement? Things like that are at issue. Overall, if it was, I'll give you an example.
Answer my question.
Well,
my goodness.
it depends on the facts. But I will tell you this: if he owned it, title in his own name, no mortgage, so there's no payoff, and let's say during the marriage it was a home that was rented and all of the expenses for the home were paid by the rent, there's no community property contribution. That's his home, no reimbursement.
Got it. Okay. And what if it was inherited?
An inheritance is separate property.
No matter what.
No matter what, but it also depends if there are contributions. If everything that you put into the asset is from an inheritance, a gift, or from before marriage, that's separate property. But usually that's not the way it works. There's usually a little bit more in complications that arise. There are usually several refinances, names on and off title, promises, pay downs during the marriage using income earned during the marriage.
Got it. Craig, let me get you in over here. In your business, you do you see, are your clients ready to start dating while they're separated, after the divorce, or somewhere in between?
Good question. And it's proposed to us every day. I'm at this stage of my relationship. I'm at this stage of my divorce. Is it too soon for me to come in and visit with you? And our answer is there any chance of reconciliation? If the answer is yes, it's too soon to see us. If it's no, then yes, come in. It's very interesting. As a male-owned matchmaking agency specialized in helping men sit down with me and say, I don't know if I'm a good partner right now. I'm going through a divorce. I've got everything up in the air. My assets haven't been divided. What should I do? And I say to the gentleman, there is great life after divorce, because if you were married 17, 20, 25 years and you both started out of college with nothing and you've built an empire, you are more marketable now than you were 20 years ago. So even though you have to divide your assets, you still have 50% more than you had when you started. You've known through your mistakes of the divorce what to do now and what not to do now, and you're really going to be a better partner for somebody. But here's the good news. If you jump into a new relationship, you will find that for all the reasons your ex beat you down for and told you that you had this problem and this problem and this problem, your new relationship won't blame you for any of those. She'll love you for what you bring to the table today. She'll appreciate you for what you'll do for her now. And she hasn't gone through all of that time away from the family while you built your successful company.
Right.
All she knows is you're a man with a plan, you have some money, you're divorcing, you're a great father, and you want to take care of somebody. So you will be more appreciated round 2 than round 1 almost 100% of the time.
Statistics, I believe, and Liz, correct me if I'm wrong, which I'm sure you would. Statistics, I believe, say that your second marriage is more likely to fail, right? You have a higher chance of being divorced.
Yes. Yes.
Craig, when you look at that and interview your clients, do you feel like they're going to be a better husband the second time around? Because personally, I would look at it and say, gosh, I just learned from all these mistakes. I would think that I'm going to have a higher success ratio the second time, but yet statistics prove me wrong.
Great question. It's determined by this. If you take the time round 2 to carefully search for the right partner, you'll probably be more successful. But if you're just lonely and you jump into the next warm arms that come your way, and she treats you the same as the first wife, or it leads down the same path because you didn't put time and effort into finding her, you're quicker to jump out of that frying pan the second time.
Got it. You have a, you're nothing like Match.com or eHarmony. And from the conversation we had earlier, it's because they're more of an internet matchmaking where the computer does a few little things and then you have to go on and pick who you like based on pictures that were from 20 years prior and so on and so on. Is that right?
Correct.
All right. Versus you actually sit down with both sides, get to know them as individuals, and then match them accordingly.
It's amazing what happens when eyeballs meet eyeballs at our agency. So like you said, men and women have to come sit down with us face to face, share with us what they bring to the table and what their expectations are in the right partner. 50% of the time, we can't buy into what they're looking for. 50% of the time, we think they're dead on, and we let them know.
So we have to break in a second, but I want to get these last couple of questions out. Match.com, I believe it's free or a few bucks. You, on the other hand, are very expensive because of the quality that you bring to the table. How much do you charge?
Our fees are based upon 4 things, and I'll use the gentleman, for example. A, how marketable is the gentleman that calls on us? How many times married? How many children does he have? How long has he been divorced? What city does he live in? What's his lifestyle like? How tall is he? Is he clean shaven? Is he handsome, or do we have to make apologies for him? The more attractive a guy is, the less we charge. The uglier he is, the more we have to charge.
You guys should see Phil, my producer, right now. He's sitting here taking notes. He's like, shoot, I got to shave. I got to do this. I got to do it. Maybe.
Phil
Craig
won't be that expensive. He's a handsome gentleman. Number 2, how long we work with somebody. Number 3, how busy we're going to keep their social life. And number 4, How extravagant are they asking for the traits in the next partner that they deem us necessary to find for them? As a nationwide company handling 25,000 singles, we can take care of everyone's needs if they're realistic. Half the people are realistic, Phil, and half the people really need a reality check. Some people think they have the same looks as they did when they were 25, and money can't fix everything.
Can money buy you love?
Money can buy love, at least in the short run, but I think in the long run, it's all about chemistry and personality.
But if you're 60, money can buy you love for at least another 20 years, right?
Maybe 2 years.
Okay. You're listening to Money Matters with Dino on KEIB AM1150. We have a fantastic show going on here today, and we're going to change a few things up on the format, and we're going to cut the Ask Dino segment short because I want to get back and talk to these two guys a little bit more. We have a bunch of questions. This segment was brought to you by CDA Law Center Expert Loan Modification. Until then, if you have any questions at all, pick up the phone right now. Don't hesitate. The phone number is 949-720-1616. That's 949-720-1616. Or check us out online at moneymatterswithdino.com. We'll be right back.
Finally, a reputable legal firm. CDA Law Center, a nationally recognized nonprofit homeowner advocate, one of the most trusted firms in the country for helping consumers with their loan modification process. CDA's attorneys have decades of combined experience guiding their clients through the very complex and choppy waters of loan modification. Call 877-499-4435, 877-499-4435. Finally, honest and ethical advice to gain real results. Call CDA Law Center at 877-499-4435. That's 877-499-4435, or check them out online at cdalawcenter.com.
Thank you for hanging with us. This is Money Matters with Dino on KEIB AM1150. I'm your host, Dino Katsiametis, and I'm here to give you the tools and information you need to build a secure and strong portfolio of wealth. This segment is brought to you by Citywide Home Loans, and not only do we do the standard 30-year fixes like everybody else does and ARMs and all that good stuff, but we actually have a new stated income product that has not existed for many years. It's a really good product. And it's finally available to that self-employed individual who somehow seems to have great cash flow, but no tax returns. If you're that person, call me at 949-720-1616. That's 949-720-1616. All right, so we have even more questions here. And as in case you just jumped in your car, we're talking about from divorce to life ever after. Guys, let's go right back into these questions here. What about Facebook? And this is for both of you. Craig, let's start with you. Your clients that are on Facebook, what do you tell them to do about that?
Turn off their Facebook immediately. Here's why. Anytime a gentleman or a lady talks to each other on the telephone, where they meet through a matchmaker, or they meet online, or they meet through friends, it's what's your last name? And they immediately go to Facebook and they look at everybody's photos around you on Facebook. And a photo speaks 1,000 words. So if you're a guy that's hanging around with a bunch of other fraternity-looking men with cocktails in your hand and straw hats on, she will stereotype you immediately and maybe even refuse the date. Every time somebody joins us, we look at their Facebook page and we critique it. Take this photo down, take this photo down, take this photo down. If you're a handsome guy and you want to be around beautiful women, well, what's that say about you when a new prospective date looks at you with all these beautiful women online? She thinks you're a playboy. So I have to say I'm completely against it. What do you think, Liz?
I use Facebook in court quite frequently. And even if it's something that may not necessarily be admissible, a child custody evaluator can look at it. Other experts can take a look at it. If you are claiming you have no money and you've got a picture of your brand new car or your brand new house, harmful. If you've got pictures of you drinking there and you're trying to go through a custody case, or a picture of a bong, not good. Okay? Not good.
You're not just making this stuff up either.
Oh, no. Automatic drug testing. You better believe it. I mean, and you don't want to lose your kids over something stupid. And I mean, people, especially if you're unemployed, people are out there trying to get jobs. Employers look at this stuff.
How do they look at that when it's all like so secure and private?
Yeah, right. Come on. Everybody can look it up. And I'll tell you, your spouse will have a friend who has a friend who can get into your account. So better do not post anything on there about your children. Do not complain about your ex-spouse. Do not put anything on Facebook that you wouldn't want in a courtroom.
Fair enough. Okay. So what, Liz, you have a client, since I'm male, let's just call her a female client for now, that is being extremely aggressive and wants everything.
You've met my ex-wife.
I was talking about somebody in particular, but we can call her your ex-wife. So what do you say to a client that is potentially being, I think, let's just call it unrealistic, but demands of you to go all out, just go for it?
Pull out your checkbook. There is one person who will be happy again in that situation, and that's me. And I tell them up front, the best way to get through a divorce is to resolve it with an agreement. If you want to punish the other side, you will not be satisfied. You just won't, because it won't happen. They will not get castrated in front of the judge. It's just not going to happen. Instead, what you need to do, even if you're a victim of domestic violence, I can give you the tools for protection, but you need to take a look at yourself and what you're going to do in the future instead of focusing on the other side. Do people come in there and say, I don't want him to have the kids, I want to use them as pawns? That's not likely. They come up with their version, and it may be skewed, their version of what they want in an ideal world. But in reality, if they focus on an agreement, everybody can be okay. You can be creative. You can get more of what you want than to hand it to somebody in a black robe who doesn't care. They don't have time to get to know you and your kids. If you hand it off to somebody else, you're rolling the dice. It doesn't matter how great the attorney is. I'm a great attorney. But you know what? One winner in the courtroom, me.
I got a question for you. There's, like you said, attorney fees, and they do rack up fast. The person that doesn't have the money, let's just the stay-at-home mom, do attorneys take her on knowing that the husband who does have money will end up having to pay for it in court?
Some may. There are two ways to get attorney's fees, two basic ways in family law to get attorney's fees. One is based on evening the playing field. It's under Family Code Section 2030. And even if you have two people with a lot of money, if one person has 50 million and the other person has 5 million, you can still even the playing field. Okay? What I like to do in those situations is look at the income and the assets available after support is paid. Usually the attorney's fees award will come up pendente lite during the proceedings when there's also a request for support. So you want to look at the net incomes after the payment of support. If you just look at somebody who makes $8,000 and somebody who makes $3,000 and don't look at the net after support, it could be very skewed. Instead, you want, if he's paying $1,500 or $2,000, they're pretty much on an even playing field there. Mm-hmm. So you need to take a look at it that way. The other way to get attorney's fees in family law is known as sanctions under, for example, Family Code Section 271. If you're acting unreasonably, if you're not trying to resolve the case, you can get sanctioned.
Okay. What about mediation? Is it a good idea?
Absolutely. I do private mediations for people, but in that case, I can't advocate for either side. In mediation, it's when a third person, and you want somebody who is a qualified family law attorney or a retired judge or judicial officer to be your mediator. You want somebody who knows family law to do that for you. And what their goal is to help you reach an agreement. That's best for everybody. And if you have children, it is absolutely something you should start with.
Okay, that's great advice. We're running out of time, so I want to ask one question left for both of you guys. Craig, I'm going to call you somewhat of an uncertified therapist with what you do.
Correct.
What advice would you give somebody who's looking to get married?
Good question. I think marriage should be taken very seriously if you're planning on having children. If you've already been divorced once and you have serious assets to protect, I might advocate living together over marriage round 2. The success or the failure of which is dependent on how much you love this person, of course. But I do think marriage is for children, and most people have already had them when they come to us later in life and they just want to find love. So it really depends on the person, but look at it serious before you jump.
And, unfortunately, we didn't even get a chance to talk about prenups and all that good stuff. But maybe, Liz, I was going to ask you the same question as an uncertified therapist, but maybe you can quickly touch upon prenups. And do they take the love out of marriage, or is it something that you just have to do?
If you're coming if you're going into your second marriage or you have substantial assets, I think you really should do that. And don't look at it as taking love out of the relationship. Look at it as a part of estate planning. Because when I do prenups, I usually work with an estate planner because they need to match. A lot of people fight over finances. If you get your expectations on paper ahead of time as to what the finances will be, how things will work, then you have less problems. And you can do post-nups too if things change. But something else that's really important to take care of is to make sure that when you're doing that, you do the disclosures you need to. And you're protecting things also for your new spouse. For example, if you have a separate property house that's paid off, but you want your new spouse to live in that house, you don't want your kids to kick her out. Yeah. You can prepare for this in a prenup and have your estate planning match it.
Our wealthy clients always ask us, do women mind signing a prenup? And I say to them, if they do, they're the wrong woman. Gentlemen, if you have assets to protect, do not be foolish. Do not get married without a prenuptial.
Okay.
I got to jump in because I want to hear. I know we're running out of time, but Craig during the break was talking about he had some great dating advice that he wanted to give, and so I got to hear this before we jump to Ask Dino. Not that I'm dating.
Don't have time for Ask Dino. You're seeming a little desperate here.
No. It just sounded like really there was something that was pretty.
All right. What's your dating advice?
Dating advice for gentlemen is this. When you get back out into the dating world, you're going to be asked 2 questions on all dates that you go on. Number 1 is, so what happened in your last relationship? What caused your divorce? Gentlemen, be very cautious. The woman's antennas are at full reach right now. What you say can and will be used against you. So rather than saying, she was a Prozac queen that I could not get along with and all my friends couldn't stand her and she was bipolar. Do not use that one. Women have heard that too many times. Instead, say something that compliments your ex, but prove that you're completely over her. For example, we had a great relationship, but it's a shame that infidelity got in the way, and it wasn't on my part. That's a nice way of telling a woman why the marriage ended without you having to take blame or point the finger. Next question. So, what are you looking for now, Dino, in your next relationship? Again, she's glaring intently and listening to everything you say. And if you say, I'm looking for a 5'8" blonde, C-chest with a size 0 body that's smart and intelligent, you just lost her. What she wants to hear is, I'm looking for a partner, a best friend, a soulmate, maybe someone I could love more in 20 years than I can today. A woman on a first date wants to see, are you commitment-minded or are you just having fun? So answer the questions short, sweet, but to the point.
Wow. Phil, did you learn anything?
Yeah, I've blown it so many times.
How much time do we have left?
We're done.
We're done?
Yeah, we are.
Dang it. I have a few more questions that I think you'd want to hear. All right, well, that's the end of our show today. You've been listening to Money Matters with Dino on K-Talk AM1150. If you have any questions at all about anything you've heard here today, and you want to get a hold of myself or my guest, give us a call. 949-720-1616. If you're driving right now, pull over so you don't get in an accident. Get the pen out and write this number down, 949-720-1616, or check us out online at moneymatterswithdino.com. All of my guest information is right there under old shows or guests or however Mike has it set up these days. But anyways, it's there. I want to thank my extra panelists this week. Model Quality Introductions, Craig Donaldson, and from Camaur-Crampton Family Law, Liz Camaur. Also, a big thank you to my producer, Phil, for being so into this show and doing as much research as he did for it. Thank you, Phil. But also a very big, special, extra big thank you goes out to you listening right now. You're the reason why I come on the show every week and why I love doing it myself. Thank you for listening. We're on every Saturday afternoon from 12 to 1. If you missed any part of the show, you can just go on moneymatterswithdino.com and check out the show in its entirety. Thank you again. We'll see you next week.